Okay, so I think she's in. So she's gonna get rolling. Last week. Okay, sounds good.
I usually look forward on Thursdays, go live in 2 weeks. Yeah. So I usually record the Thursday for May. Who's on there? She won't be on until you may not be able to join.
Feel like that's good.
We don't see. We'll do the motion when. Yeah, actually. And then I try to go. Last week. Would you like to say this? Read that out loud in a few minutes. Okay.
This.
So everyone is at so it still wants to do it. So. But are you? Yes.
This is like.
You can read this? I'll ask you to, but it's time.
Thank you.
Who's that?
Oh.
Okay. It's gonna be yours.
I wanna do it, yeah. There we go.
No. All right, meeting at 7:30, we'll call this meeting to order. Gabrielle, please rise to the flag of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at the last meeting, I did appoint Jennifer Ree as the clerk. She was able to make it in for the oath of office after the meeting, so Clerk Ree, you will call roll, please. Trustee Diatley?
Here.
Trustee McGuire? Here. Trustee Kennelly?
Here.
Trustee Hawk?
Here.
All right, everybody's present, wait, can I have a motion? Kelly Thomas is not here, she has a family emergency, or Trustee Thomas is not here, she has an emergency. Can I have a motion for attendance, for virtual attendance for her?
So
moved. Second. Moved by Diatley, seconded by McGuire. Any discussion, comments, questions? Roll call vote, please. Trustee Hoff?
Yay.
Trustee Kennelly?
Aye.
And, is that right? McGuire. Oh, Trustee McGuire, sorry. Yes. And Diatley. You still have them both. Okay, and Trustee Diatley.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, welcome Trustee Thomas. Thank you for joining us. Next up on the motion is minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the board minutes from the meeting of June 2nd? I'll move. Moved by McGuire, seconded by anybody?
I'll second.
By Hoff. Comments, questions, or any edits within the minutes?
Maybe I was distracted and it's not a large thing.
All right.
The renaming of salsa, was that discussed during the last meeting?
It was, I had a meeting with the owners and they would just let me know that they were doing some changes again, so we'd be seeing another name. But we don't have it yet.
The name is up. The name is on the bill.
The Ice
That's-
Ladera Cruises, but is it the new one now?
There's,
Yeah, it is that, okay, all right, that's it.
We're gonna go for third.
they haven't changed the, I thought the name of this changed to doing business as name.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, any other comments, questions, or discussion? Because we have virtual attendance, there'll be a roll call vote.
Trustee Diatley,
Aye.
trustee McGuire,
Aye.
trustee Thomas.
It's for her own vote.
You're mute.
Not that this is for the
This
minutes.
is the minutes.
Oh.
Sorry. Do you wanna give a thumbs up?
Hold on.
There we go.
Aye,
Trustee.
sorry.
Trustee Hopper.
Aye.
All right, all affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion passes. I think I forgot to say that on the motion for virtual attendance, but it was the case. Now on to the president's report. First off, I'd like to ask Christine Fuqua to please read the civility pledge for us. What's that?
Want me to stand?
You don't have to, you can just read it.
In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful to others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that effect.
Thank you. All right, so for the president's report, we have had a busy couple of weeks. I just want to update people on a few things. First off, we had the town hall that the chief and I hosted last week. It was a wonderful turnout, lots of good questions, good discussion from the chief. We were here for about, I want to say, an hour and 40 minutes, I think, hour and a half. And I think it went really well. We also had people watching online, which I really appreciated, that if you couldn't make it, you tuned in for it. And I will let the chief speak more to that when it's his turn to give a report. But I was very happy with it, and especially with the feedback. We got some people asking some very specific questions that I hadn't considered. There was information that wasn't part of Flux. We were able to clear up a lot of things. And yeah, I really appreciated everybody coming out, and also some were in support and some obviously weren't. So we had a nice mixed group. After that, we had, this past weekend, Trustee Kennelly and I attended it's the Council of Governors, and it was 6 different divisions. Ours is Metro West, but it was 6 there. We attended the newly elected officials training seminar on Saturday. It was from 8 to 2, and it was a wealth of information. They had panelists there who were various mayors, village presidents, and trustees from other areas, some who'd been mayors for 40 years, some who had been mayors for 2. One woman had just stepped in to be an interim acting mayor for 6 months because theirs had died, but then somebody else had just gotten elected. So there's a lot of various different experiences, and some of the common themes throughout of what did we wish we had known then, and what did I learn in the first 6 months. One of the main things that struck me and that I've been cognizant of this past 2 years as a trustee is how slow government work takes. And I'm well aware that it is a frustration in our village, but there was some point to it when we're coming from businesses and you're coming from sales and business and then going into governance. It's a slower process because you don't just get to speak, you don't just get to look out for the person who's interested in that one thing. You're looking at everybody in the village, taking consideration of future ramifications, and also the village as a whole. They really hammered on that one, and then just the importance of us communicating with you, the residents, and making sure that we're putting in FaceTime with you, getting out, getting involved when there's problems, being present, but also when there's fun, positive things, being there to share with the residents, just so you know that we are approachable. And like, we've had some incidences, and I've been contacted and gotten in touch with the residents, and not always the best outcomes, but I'm trying, they're trying, and we're working together. So I think it was very educational. And for Trustee Hoff and actually the rest of the trustees, if you're interested, we had some PDF packets from that I've emailed Suzanne for. She's going to send them to me. I'll get copies of those too. And now that Jen is in office, we're going to get some other copies up of the book, the handbook that I showed you before. So I'll get you PDF, but not PDFs, printouts of that. That was on Saturday. Then, and I'm sorry. And now we also have had, 'tis the season for tree trimmings, and we've had 2 incidences here in the village. First, Hollow Road last week. We also had 1601 West Main today. I'm gonna address Sleepy Hollow Road first. That Sleepy Hollow Road is a pleasure driveway. It does have limitations to what we can and cannot do on the street there. The limitations that we have in our ordinance and as defined by the state limit the traffic and the drivability of the road. Unfortunately, there's no language right here, right now with respect to vegetation along Sleepy Hollow Road. And ComEd does have a responsibility to come in and trim the trees for the safety of the village. And not just the residents on that road, but all of us to make sure that our electricity stays in place. I've been in conversations with our regional manager for ComEd, the vegetation manager. I've spoken to Asplund and some of their tree trimmers. I've stopped on the street and spoken to them. We were getting a plan in place to actually do all the Sleepy Hollow trimmings in November of this year. And then I was going to help mobilize our environmental committee to do invasive clearings on Sleepy Hollow Road in September and October. I then learned that I could not actually restrict them from trimming the trees on Sleepy Hollow Road. But I did delay them about a week and a half. They ended up going up to northern Sleepy Hollow Road over to Carrington. And then as of this past week, last week, I did find out that I had to let them trim. And so they were trimming. I think they took decent care. I mean, it's always hard when you see a tree get cut, but none of the trees were cut down. It was just trims around the power lines. And then they were back out there today and I met with Francisco and he appreciated the residents who were helpful and they pointed out certain trees that they wanted protected and they were able to kind of help out with that. So that one was we're still working on it. It's a biannual trim, so it'll be 2 years from now. That gives us 2 years. Tonight, we're going to meet Rhonda Schatzberger, the new trustee for Buildings and Environment. Part of her role is we're going to be working on how to trim the invasive bushes on Sleepy Hollow Road, so it's a better position for ComEd to come in and trim, and they can do it with more care. More tree trimming, 1601 West Main. The landscapers were back this morning at about 8 this morning. I was over there at about 8:30 speaking with them. I brought them copies of our ordinances and shared that from all the trees that they cut down previously at 1601 West Main, any more would be in violation of our canopy woodland cover ordinance, which is part of section 8.5 for those of you who are tracking those. I did indicate that. I also showed them the divisions of our type of all the different buffers as well as a map showing them the type B buffers, C, D, and E, and how they coincide with Route 72 versus the business side and mostly the residents. So when I got there, I spoke with the head tree trimmer. Their instructions were to clear all of the trees to the property line the whole way. And I know it's not a victory because things were cut today, but they did not clear everything. We were able to keep all of the tall living trees that were there. We pointed out 2 specific dead trees that were right by a utility pole over by the Tartans Glen House. And then there was about 6 along the lines over by Laurel. Edie, I'm not sure if they got over by you, but I want to talk to you about that one tree.
Okay.
Sorry, it's a long report, guys. They cleared those. I came back about an hour later and some green leaves were getting torn up. And so I said, I thought we talked about just dead stuff. And he had mentioned, and I hadn't really approved it at the time, but invasive trees. And there are honeysuckle and buckthorn there. I did make a split decision on the spot and said, I did say that it was okay to cut down the honeysuckles and buckthorns. Don't know that. I did. So they started taking some of those out. There has been questions about doing so. My thought process was for the stuff that they take out, they're going to have to replace. I'm reaching out to Conrad Ryback. We've had trouble with the phone today. I understand he may be overseas. We're reaching out on an email and I'm getting in contact with the attorney to see if we can have something in place tomorrow so that there's just no question and we can have some legal enforcement behind it. But I did permit the invasives because my thought process that we'd have to get rid of them anyways when we'd want to put in the landscaping there. It made sense to have them do it now, but I asked them that where they were going up against the residential areas, provide a green space buffer, like don't take those bushes down that are going straight up and providing that green wall in effect between your residents and what's going on out there. So I monitoring it the rest of the day, it looked like they were adhering to that. I saw Marco and his other lead guy out assessing trees, marking them as to which ones, and then the guys coming up behind them, and it seemed like they stayed on task the rest of the day. No, sorry. And oh, because, and it's one of our residents point out to us, because it is, regardless of the fact that it's not a special, the special use permit has expired, there is a buffer zone that is in place for any B1 and B2 units. That currently can be anywhere from 30 to 60 feet on the property that goes back towards Laurel Court. And I think it was 20 to 40 feet on the property that goes over towards the house directly across from Tartan's Glen. It is less obviously out by Route 72 and then over by the business district. But they should be adhering to those. They don't have any plans for berms and fences, so I'm talking to them about the maximum footage. The tree guy recognized that they'd already gone well past that, so he seemed apprehensive to me about going beyond what we agreed upon, and it seemed that he was adhering it to it today. We will follow up tomorrow. And I also indicated that we couldn't have anything more done because I wouldn't want us to have to come out and keep citing them and stopping work each day. Last thing, I had another resident asked me if we could issue a stop work order. Unfortunately, that is only applicable with respect to building permits. This is no permit for this. I will speak to the resident later. There's no permit for this currently. It was not in the proper area of the ordinance, so it wasn't as applicable in this area. That's the trees. Oh, also, sorry, this probably should have come up with the training one because I didn't want to just go off the trees with this. But I also just received, and I will get a copy of this for all the trustees. This is the CMAP assessment for the past, it's the August 2024 release. It's got the last 20 to 25 years of our demographics, of housing changes, or housing trends, income trends, technology, work, like all of the demographics of our residents. And I found it really interesting. Some of the things that I assumed have been going up had actually come down, vice versa. Some things stayed the same. So I will get a copy of this as well to you guys with this one there. Let's double check. B2 1601 West Main. All right, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you. Jen, do you have a report this evening?
I do. We are going to swear in the oath of office for trustee Schatzberger, who will take over Courtney's trustee position, and deputy clerk Maureen Weeks.
Brian, if you want to come up?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, mate, I don't have this.
All right, please raise your right hands. Repeat after me. I'm Maureen Weeks.
I'm Maureen Weeks.
Having been duly appointed
Having been duly appointed
to the position of deputy clerk in the village of Sleepy Hollow,
to the position of deputy clerk in the village of Sleepy Hollow,
Kane County, Illinois,
Kane County, Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the village of Sleepy Hollow,
and the ordinance of the village of Sleepy Hollow,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of deputy clerk to the best of my
of
ability.
deputy clerk to the best of my abilities.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Please raise your right hands. I, Rhonda Schatzberger,
I, Rhonda Schatzberger,
having been duly appointed to the position of trustee in the village of Sleepy Hollow,
having been duly appointed to the position of trustee in the village of Sleepy Hollow,
Kane County, Illinois,
Kane County, Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of Village of Sleepy Hollow,
and the ordinances of the village of Sleepy Hollow,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Welcome. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Come join us now.
Oh, yeah, there's over here. One more thing, the President's report, sorry, Chrissy. We also had an amazing farmer's market or market in the Hollow this past weekend. Gorgeous weather, gorgeous setting, great vendors, great people. There's probably over 300 people, so thank you, Christine. And I hope you'll be sharing it with us later, okay? All right, so we were at clerk's report, anything else? All right. Planning and zoning commission report, Barb is not here tonight. There is no report. Attorney report, nothing from Mark. I spoke with Jeff Steele earlier. We do not have an engineer report. Eugene, Director of Finance report, please.
Request a motion for the warrant in the amount of $173,438.20.
Do I have a motion?
So move Diatley.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Diatley, seconded by Hoff. Comments, questions, or discussion?
Re-verify your number you just said.
173,438.20. Thank you.
All right, hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Diatley,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye,
uh,
sorry.
Aye.
Hoff,
Aye.
and Schatzberger.
I abstain at this time.
Thank you. And Melissa, would you get the comments sheet? Or she gets? Oh, that's, no, they didn't get it once they see it. Because people will come in and make choices.
Just two other items. Last time I talked about, the increase in the billing by West Dundee. As it worked out, I actually did include those figures in the budget, so we're good. It was just that on the monthly, expense sheet that I had put together, I did not put it in there, so we're all good with the budget. I have not completed May yet because I'm still waiting for the sewer bill from West Dundee. They got a bill to me today, but it was wrong. They increased all the rates and they only partially calculated it correctly in for the residential. So I kicked it back to them and then we had to fix it. So other, once I get that, then I can kind of close out. That's it.
Okay, public comments. Keep burning, please.
Okay, well, number one. Bill Canelli. Yes, sir. Thank you for calling. We had, what I thought was very productive.
Yeah.
First conversation, I look forward to having more. Okay. We go forward, I would like to. Again, request with. Our water and sewer to have a similar discussion, talk about plans. So forth. I was going to ask about the status. Going back to May, requesting the changes in the zoning code. Obviously referring back. In this case to 1601. I know there was supposed to be a meeting, it was canceled because of an established quorum. And it occurred to me that yes, we still have a couple of vacancies on that commission, at least two. I don't know what Don's Splash's status is at this point, but a valuable resource.
Yeah.
We could say another. What happened today at over at 1601, train wreck. We all, as residents, suspected something like that was coming. And there it was. And interestingly enough, the owner was not available. Did our president step up? Yes, you did everything you thought to know to do. Unfortunately, you made the remark earlier, you couldn't do a stop work. Actually, you could cease and desist because they were working in violation of the ordinance. Had nothing to do with whether or not he had a permit or whether one was required. Is required to have the buffer. The ordinance says you will have this minimum buffer and it will have these specific plantings. But by going ahead and saying, well, okay, go ahead and do a little here and a little there, trying to smooth that out, and I appreciate that effort. I think it's going to make it more difficult later. Because I think it's going to be imperative that he does restore that buffer with the plantings that are specified in the ordinance. And I have one last question, and I know you've had a couple things on the plate, a little bit slopping over. When are you gonna start up your regular office hours?
I am getting those started. We needed to get staff set up, so I knew what our schedule was.
Your regular office hours?
I understand that, so I needed to get staff set up, so I've
No,
got.
no, I know, and then we gotta have a full panel to get anything accomplished to overcome 20 years
I'm
of,
looking at my Wednesday afternoon.
we can't do that. But we gotta start something.
Mhm.
Right.
Next, I'd like to share the show. Oh, next is Christine, please. Thank you.
Hello, I just wanted to come in today and say thank you for everyone that showed up, supported the market in the hollow, going to support. Shared, liked, whatever, came and saw, it was fantastic, we had. I think it was 12 vendors total, one being Friends of the Fox, and we had over 300 people, it was. Exactly as I imagined it, people coming together like they do on the 4th of July, meeting old neighbors, talking, able to support those in our community, what they have to share, and we're almost double of what we had for June is what we're gonna have in July. So it's going to be even better, and it's just support of everyone, you know, Kyle putting the no parking signs up. Service Club supporting us, Kyle bringing out all the tables for us, and just everyone that was on the committee for the committee that we have, of all the volunteers and everyone. So I just really appreciate every single person that showed up and had any part of it. It was absolutely fantastic. So thank you.
This is unorthodox. Thank you for bringing something new to the village. It was
Yeah,
really-
yeah.
I'm sorry I did not applaud you, Kim. Thank you very much for your comments. I do not.
I didn't come for applause.
And Deb Burden, please.
Tell you now, I don't need applause.
Okay, that's
All right, my name is Debbie Vernon, 821 Locust Drive, I'm a resident and homeowner for 23 years. I'm retired local government accountant, 16 years experience in Illinois, 5 years in Wisconsin, and knowledgeable about most local government procedures and best practices. Today was very sad, and it was always inevitable that it's going to happen at 1601 West Main Street. I went over there, I didn't just went at different times. I went over there in the morning to look at it in my car. And then I came back later in the day. This is for anybody who's, it's a 1601 West Main Street. This was owned or is owned by Conrad Ryback. The property where 2 self-storage facility developments were proposed. The village of Sleepy Hollow, I feel, is not proactive, but reactive, non-active. There were 425 plus people who signed the petition saying no to the storage facility. I did take pictures today and posted them on the 2 Facebook residents and friends, all factual information. I think that's good for people to know and be aware of what goes on. I think the village, we want them to set the tone with legal regulations, pre-approvals, reviews, specific rules with the position of authority. And this is the benefit, that we wanted it to benefit the residents and the village. That's why we set these rules up in advance. And once again, the residents on Royal Court, they are suffering. I would suggest determining the exact setback buffer for the B2 commercial lot line and how many feet are required. Pete before had done some research. We feel that the headings of that section are very vague. It would be good, I think, this is my opinion, to possibly just get another second opinion. I think the headings didn't have to be repeated for every section. It was the assumption that at the top it would have put for everything. So it would be just good to get that and see what the numbers are going to be. Something obviously we've all been talking about, this needs to be done now, and Courtney was mentioning some things that the village is doing to make sure there's no more trees cut on this, because the B2 commercial zoning needs to be appropriate to protect the adjacent residential properties. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. you know, and I'm sure the residents that are there, it's kind of scary to open your blinds up in the morning and see if it's just a repeat of this. Because once again, it's people's lives and homes and that's affected. I had a quick question about, when Jennifer got, appointed. Is it okay to do that after the village board meeting had already adjourned?
Her appointment needed to be publicized. It was publicized through being here and being present. The appointment was, the oath does not need to be publicized. And actually, we just come across an Illinois Municipal League handout about who is permitted to issue oaths.
Okay.
And I was, the village president is one. We did it for the sake of time sensitivity in that Tony was done and we didn't want any FOIA alerts, anything going through the clerk's email.
Because we didn't have a replacement.
Yeah.
to have.
So,
And Steve Parma was there to witness it.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if the village board was adjourned. You told me all the reasons why.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything was done properly during the meeting and then we were able to issue the oath after
Okay.
that. So,
Got it.
yeah, thank you.
The next point is, Pete asked about the office hours, so that was a big thing to me, so tentatively Wednesday afternoons, and I'm sure you'll advertise that. And then as well as the Facebook and website, are they gonna be enhanced by? There's not a lot of information on there,
There's
current
not, they
information.
will be, right now, and I'm sorry, I'm breaking my rule of public comments, but I know that that's one that people have been questioning for some time, so. Really, a large part of it was we needed to get my clerk and my deputy clerk and communications people set. We have just gotten it set. And because of limitations, and I will update this more once I have more information to give you, but there's limitations and restrictions once we have a regular working website.
Mhm.
I don't want us to try and throw something up quickly and then not have the right infrastructure to have it running constantly and making sure that we're updating it correctly. So
Okay, so you'll
I would like to be a little more cautious in planning it so that we're not having any massive hiccups right when it starts going to operation.
Okay, and you'll be updating that hopefully in ongoing board meetings, so the
Mhm.
residents know. Next point I saw in the summer newsletter, that there's gonna be changes to simplify the advertising rates and a column for the editors. Said it would take 1 year to implement. I wasn't sure if I read that right, that just seems like a long time, you don't have to answer now if you don't want. But that seems like a long time. This is almost done. I saw on tonight's agenda that approval is needed for $400 worth of mulch. Signpost with no value listed and a newsletter cost of 2,000 and under 2,000. Is this just for the summer edition? Maybe because it is mailed, so that might be the case. I was just wondering if there was a better way to do this. I didn't look on the ordinances yet, but sometimes different officials will have.
No, it's okay, I spoke.
The different officials will have a spending limit. So I don't know if the president has a certain spending limit and police chief does and other things. Cause I don't see a lot, I don't know why it has to have $400 on the agenda. That seems pretty minimal. Maybe there's a better way to do some approvals without having to do that. And it's probably quicker too. And then that would be great. And then I would appreciate maybe 5 to 7 business days if somebody could get back to me to answer my questions. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
You did. All right. Sorry, guys, that I broke my own rules by responding and applauding and doing things. Thank you for that. I will work on that. All right, we are on to trustee reports. Parts of trustee Canelli, Roads and Parks, please.
All right. Was a busy week or two. So first, a resident, I've had a couple of phone conversations with residents who offered very positive compliments toward our public works team. So I'd like to just make sure that Kyle and his team are aware that their work is being noticed and appreciated. On last Thursday, there were some issues, as Courtney had already, our president has mentioned, on Sleepy Hollow Road. And so I'll leave that, other than the canopy, which was the largest concern, has not been touched on Sleepy Hollow Road. Mostly from here going to the north is where I got involved. And it seemed to me that the vendor or the company that was doing the work was already aware of our rules and regulations. And that's about all I can say on that, and I now have a copy of everything related to Pleasure Drive. Two residents called regarding easements behind their homes, asking when the village would be coming by to cut that lawn. Did meet with the residents, and in one case, the relatively new owner agreed that it would be really difficult with all the open space and easements for us to provide those services. And he agreed that he would take care of it. The other is a rental home. And after finding that out, I did contact the owner and let him know the same, that we would, we really need them to maintain that if they want, or they can let that grow. And I haven't heard back from him. So he's been advised. I met with a resident on Locust. And he had pointed out to me some issues with the shoulder falling into the culvert, which kind of becomes a safety issue. And photos were taken and sent to Public Works. And today those photos were shared with the engineer, because we think we probably have to come up with something a little bit different with the storm water drainage there than what we currently have. Otherwise, I think the problem will continue to take place. I also went through the market, and it was very well, very well coordinated. Everybody was parked where they were supposed to be parked. The vendors all had their tents set up in an orderly fashion. People were able to move in every direction. So I thought it was very well done. So thank you very much for doing that in our park. And then the last issue regarding the road is I would appreciate it if we could consider getting an estimate and perhaps some engineering work done on extending the bike path that ends along the north side of Bonkoski Road. It ends where West Dundee's property line ends. Then there's a 45-foot walkway in grass down a slight hill that could be kind of a safety issue because it ends right into Bonkoski Road. So at this point, I know that it would be an expense. I believe there is some money in the budget, but that was a while ago. And so I would like to just ask that we could do some preliminary work to determine what it would take to fix that and complete that bike path. When I went over there, it was interesting because as I walked there, saw a gentleman walking down, going across Bonkoski, because I'm thinking, how often is this going to get used? And within minutes, additional people had come and gone. So it does get used, and you can tell because the grass is worn. So if I can get a motion, I am assuming I'll need.
You're asking for us to.
Can I answer that?
Please.
Okay, so this has been an ongoing project. Weston D asked us to complete that bike path. There had been discussion about continuing that bike path all the way to Jelke Park. But we never had that kind of money in order to do it, nor was there a clear path in order to do it. Jeff Steele had estimated that it would be about 15,000 to just bring it down to street level.
Okay.
And so that's the amount that we have had in the budget for the past several years. Jeff had also done some research, and I guess Heinz had been contracted in the past to have done it. And several years ago, that the cost was like around 3,500. So I believe that the plans are already in existence. So it's just a matter of talking to Jeff about moving forward.
Okay, well, there's also a question about ownership of the land. And so I think that's why I don't know if we're gonna need a survey, but I think we might need, I've had discussion with homeowners.
Okay.
And
it's my understanding that that's our land.
okay,
And that's why Westland D came to us and asked us to complete it.
okay. Well, those are the issues.
Yeah, why don't we talk to Jeff?
And I don't know how long ago it was that the $15,000 was the number. My understanding is
3 years.
3? Okay, so it's probably more than that one now.
I had heard that the property owner that comes down to that level was willing to.
I don't wanna go there yet. yet.
Oh, you don't wanna, okay.
Let me find out from Jeff, what are we I have to email Jeff tonight with respect to MetroNet. I'll send him another email and say that we're curious about the Bonkoski bike path.
Yeah.
And find out from him on that. And I'll get you copied on that too.
All right, I want to, one way or another, bring it to the conclusion. And as far as parks, Public Works and Mr. Hoff, whom I think now on, you should sit on a lawnmower when you're here, not necessarily in that chair. They did a beautiful job at the Saddle Club Park with trimming and obviously cutting the lawn, but they really trimmed it. It looks great. As well as at the gazebo area, if you've been by there in preparation for the 7-4 celebrations. They have been hard at work, so that is the end of my comments.
Thank you. All right, finance, trustee Hoff.
All right. Not a long report today. No water main breaks, thank God. I think we've gone 2 weeks without an expensive water main break, so keep your fingers crossed. And also I received an email from a resident, public court, being very complimentary of everything that's being done to keep the public areas clean and whatnot throughout Sleepy Hollow. And he wants to make a donation to the Public Works Department.
Oh, lovely.
So Eugene, I've never experienced that before. Write a check to the Village of Sleepy Hollow.
I will give them a receipt for that.
Okay. He didn't say the amount. But I will follow back. I didn't do anything until I could hear back from this.
Thanks.
Okay.
We will take everybody's money. If they want to do it.
It's a good thing. And maybe that could come into play in our item number 14.
Remember that come tax time.
Yep. That's it for me.
Thank you. All right, trustee McGuire, water and sewer, please.
No report tonight, but I would like phone calls when water mains break, please.
What's that?
I would like phone calls when water mains break.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and police and public safety, trustee Dialli.
Chief has included several things in your packet. I want to highlight a little bit on the first one, and then I'll turn it over to Chief. The part that I like that we continue to do in this, even our small department, is the training of our officers. If you look at, trustees have it, the training that they do. Officer Kyle Davis completed his field training officer program. He's now a certified field training officer. Officer DeJesus completed his mega instructor training program. Now certified to teach judgmental firearms, and it goes on and on. So the continued training of our officers is very important. It keeps them up to date on the latest things that they can use while they're out there in the field and what they face. And I just appreciate the chiefs. I know when Chief came on board, he's very good about training his officers and keeping them up to date on what's going on. So I just wanted to point that out, that we continue to do that even in a small department. And I feel that's I'm going to let Chief speak to a lot of the other things on here that he has. Chief?
In terms of training, one of my emphasis has always been having our own internal trainers. I think it's important as a department to have your own officers training your own officers, so we don't have to rely on other people. That being said, we are doing more intergovernmental training as well. We just did a fairly large active shooter training with all of the police departments that are on the dispatch center with us, fire department, TMS services. So that was very beneficial training. We just completed that. We're going to be doing more of that as we go into the future as well. So we'll continue doing it. I do have to kind of give a shout out though to my scheduling sergeant, Sergeant Bury, and the officers in general, because when I send an officer, for me, it's easy. I say, hey, I signed an officer to go to 40-hour training. And it's great when you got a 40-man department and you do that, because you can always just take one body and replace them with another body. Problem is, when I take a body out of an 8 or 10-man department, I don't always have a body to replace them with. So the officers have done a great job of being flexible with their schedule and allowing Sergeant Bury to make changes and get the officers to the training. So I do give a shout out to the guys for doing that. They're infinitely flexible with my vision. And sometimes my vision is a little tough for them to keep up with, so. In your packet, there's also, there was an MOU that I've discussed this a couple times. I'm trying to get us involved with King County Collaborative Diversion Division. Kind of tongue twister. What it will allow us to do is have the ability to divert people that we come across that are either suffering a mental health crisis or substance abuse crisis or possibly homeless, and will allow us to divert them into a program rather than arrest them. There's a lot of times when we're forced, when we don't have options like that, to arrest people and get them into the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system is not always the best place for people. So we're trying to get this MOU signed so that I have that tool. There's no cost to the village. So that I have that tool for our officers to be able to use to, I think, better serve our residents and people that are coming to visit our towns. That's why I asked you guys to give me the approval to go and sign that MOU. If there's any questions about it, please let me know, but it's run through the state's attorney's office as one of State's Attorney Mosser's big pushes. That's one of the things she's a big proponent of. So. I provided some information on, I did a little bit of a longer term study on Locust in terms of traffic. I gathered traffic counts, speeds in both directions on Locust, a little bit south, or where the bike path is at. We kind of moved where the speed bump was at last year versus this year. But I gathered traffic information both directions before the speed bump went in and then after, because I wanted to be able to show after 2 to 3 weeks of data gathering, what impact the traffic hump was actually having, the speed hump was having. It's a substantial difference. The traffic counts stayed about the same, so the number of cars that were on the road was equal, which is a good number for us. With that number staying the same, but yet dropping the average speeds and the top speeds substantially, it does make a difference. So if anybody wonders whether or not speed humps matter, they do make a difference. And I think it's a tool that we can use more in the village, especially with some of our roads. They're not applicable to everywhere. I'll tell you, I'm not in favor of putting them on Bull Run. When you got hills and curves, speed humps are generally not a good idea. But other areas in town, I think there's something that we can use with great value to control the speeds of people driving through town. So I've been working with Kyle and talking to Kyle, so we'll work on that a little more as we go into the future. They're not as expensive as some of the other things that we have to do.
So do we just need the motion then for the memo of
We
understanding?
need a motion for the
Yeah.
MOU.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the chief to sign the MOU with King County.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Kennelly. Comments, questions, discussion? I'm a big supporter of this. I like the restorative justice programs. I like the collaborative diversion programs. They've had a couple versions and I think they've been quite successful and yeah.
Just out of curiosity, should we wait till Rhonda catches up on it or?
I actually got her an agenda packet this
Oh,
weekend.
perfect.
Thank you. And yeah, at this point, if you still prefer, you can also abstain.
Yeah, I read through the other things.
All right,
And I will make sure that Attorney Schuster is comfortable with it before I send it in as well, just to make sure.
all right, a roll call vote, please.
Trustee McGuire,
Aye.
trustee Connelly,
Aye.
trustee Hawk,
Aye.
trustee Diatley,
Aye.
trustee Schatzberger.
Aye.
All. To be honest.
I'm sorry, trustee Thomas.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, all affirmative votes, no negative, motion passes. Thank you. Any other?
One last thing, I just, in terms of our town hall, I want to thank all the residents that came out, the residents that sent me the questions. If you have questions about our flat camera system, don't hesitate to reach out to me, come see me, call me. I talk to people all the time about it. I know you've probably seen some of the stuff on the news about the release of information that came out of a northwest suburb. Some of what you're hearing in the news is all the
you.
facts, some of it is not necessarily all factual, so I guess you can take it with, take it all with a grain of salt, but I can tell you that that type of release will never happen with our program because of the data sharing that I'm just simply not going to do. So our data is going to be protected regardless, so we won't have to worry about something like that happening, so.
Thank you.
Have we changed anything, chief, since that news broke with
No, there was-
Secretary of State?
No, nothing has changed in terms of us so again, what I said before about how I can choose where the data goes, there's a button you click and you can say if you want nationwide sharing. I think that's a cautious area to go down and I'm not willing to go down that road. So
What happens if they were to force you?
they can't unless there's a court order or a judge's order with a warrant. That's the only way they can force my hand.
There's no way possible.
There is no other way possible. Come see me and enlighten me.
Anything else, trustee McGuire?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, buildings and environment, trustee Schatzberger, do you have a report?
I have no report at this time.
Thank you. We did meet this weekend, and we've been discussing the 5 areas that we're gonna be looking at. I keep saying 5, and I can never remember the 5th one, but, so the Lake Sharon, invasives, clearing of invasives, enabling of native lawns with stipulations, guidelines, and, drainage, and then also burning, we're gonna be looking into. So we're working on that. Some residents have expressed interest in being on the committee, not just for environment, but for any of them. Please reach out to me, send me an email if you're interested in being on the committee. We need voices, people who are interested and have some experience here as well. So thank you, Rhonda. And trustee Thomas, building and zoning enforcement.
Just a couple things. I want to thank President Bowe for taking my calls this morning, panicked calls, when I started receiving calls and messages from some of our residents. Courtney, thank you for stepping up to that since I was unable to get over there from Florida immediately. And so I really appreciate your help with that. I know that we've got some things to address and take care of. And I know you and I will be sitting down this week since some things have been brought to my attention that need to be taken care of. And we're trying to do the best we can, being some of us new to the board and yourself and some others. So I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me on some of the things that I've been sending to you. I also want to thank Trustee Diatley and Chief for having that town hall because it answered many questions that I had, still questions that I had. I thought I understood the flat camera system, but you did elaborate more, and I'm hoping that it put to rest some of the information that was out there that some of the residents were questioning. So I appreciate all the information that you distributed to everybody and the questions that you answered during that town hall. And I think that shows that we are trying and we want to have more town halls when things like that come up. So thank you to everybody for participating in that. And I will be home this week, I hope, fingers crossed. And so if anything else comes up, I will be back in the hollow. That's it.
All right, also under building and zoning enforcement, excuse me, I did have a conversation with Barb Detmer this week. She has been wanting to get an approval before the board so that the Planning and Zoning Commission can actually work on the zoning the zoning codes as they're written. So they had to cancel a meeting due to lack of quorum. I don't want them to be with their hands tied moving forward. So if you guys would like, although Barb is not here, if you wanted to make a motion to enable the commission so they can start working on that, and then we could get language in, particularly with respect to special use permits. I think now is the time is of the essence to do it now while there's no permits and applications submitted, so we should probably well, would anybody like to make a motion to,
I'll file a motion to discuss.
okay? Second,
I'll second.
all right. Motion by McGuire, second by Kennelly for discussion.
What topics do they want to cover? Is it something where we would want a board of 5 or 6 people? Or is it something like, just like we want to get the invasive species out? Like, what kind of topics are they like?
Well, this is the zoning code.
Okay, so.
Yeah, this is the residential, the residential B1, B2 special uses. And the idea was, my understanding is what they've been working on is wanting to make it more, well, I think as Deb was pointing out, clear up some of the extra headings, have it more clear cut that this is your residential, your business, what's allowed, what is not allowed, which I thought would add some more clarification. And it would be the committee. So we've got, I think we have currently 3 people on there right now. Plus then it would be Kelly, and we need to get some more people on that commission.
So 4 plus Kelly, so 4 voting total.
It's voting, but it's, I mean, they're referrals, so then we ultimately will be voting on it as well. We can certainly go, trustees and everybody can go as residents and make comments.
Do we want more heads in it though? Before, I don't know.
Barb said today in my conversation, she needs 7 people on that commission.
But to
And
start
my-
talking about it.
I'm gone, Dale Howe's gone,
Yeah,
you need people.
but to start discussing it though.
Well, that's what we were already in the process of doing. We discussed a lot of it and a lot of it just didn't get into writing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Do you know
what-
how far along some of that was? Like, are you hammering any of it out or?
Yeah. I would probably say 50% of it was discussed and written, 50% still to be written. But, you know, there's the issue with getting enough people to show up.
My concern also is getting something in writing if time is of the essence with respect to developments around here.
That's a good point.
Yep.
That's what I would like for there to be some more clarification, and I wish that family emergency and circumstances didn't prevent Barb from being here right now, but that is what it is, and I think that we could, if this were approved to allow them to start writing some of this down, we could start to see some. We could see some changes sooner rather than later, and would then actually have more enforcement.
Is there a timeline we could recommend where maybe more of the urgent ones, like the B2 district, be discussed before
I'd be happy to put that down as
residents? I would say maybe it's not as urgent for residents right now. I know we want to discuss burning and stuff like that. I don't think at this point, where we're well into summer, maybe based on my voice, I would like that to be discussed. But I think the B2 district is more important. And that if we do allow them to start discussing it without a full board, that we maybe prioritize the discussions, or recommend prioritizing the discussions.
Thoughts from others?
Don't have any problem with that.
Are there any other areas that you guys think need to be discussed currently with respect to the commission and what the zoning, so I agree with Jenny.
Yeah, I think
Or
that's
trustee
the
McGuire on that.
number one issue.
Clearly, that is our big issue.
Yep.
All right, would you like, so the motion was for discussion.
I'll move to vote.
Moved by McGuire, seconded by. What was it, Diatley? Yeah. Oh, Kennelly, are you okay with changing the second
Yes.
to vote? All right, we've had discussion. Any other comments, questions, or discussion with respect to voting on allowing the P and Z Commission to begin reviewing and updating the current zoning code with the specific recommendation to prioritize B2 special use. Yeah, permits. A roll call vote, please. Sorry.
Trustee Diatley,
All right,
trustee McGuire,
Aye.
trustee Connelly,
I,
trustee Hoff,
Aye.
trustee Thomas,
Aye.
trustee Schatzberger.
Aye.
All right, all affirmative votes, no negative votes, that passes. I will let Barb know. Thank you very much. Friends, please let your friends and neighbors know if anybody wants to be on P and Z Commission. Send me a letter of interest and then we can discuss. All right, old business. So we have the discussion and approval of the Sleepy Hollow Legend newsletter, printing and mailing for summer 4th of July edition under $2,000. In answer to Deb's question from earlier, We were just up against a deadline of trying to get our agenda published. I didn't have the exact numbers in front of me because they were estimates. So I put it there. I knew it was significantly less, but I wanted to make sure, since we were posting something about finances, that you guys were aware of what was being charged for the newsletter. Do I have a motion to approve the printing and mailing of the 4th of July edition of the newsletter? Kind of discussed at the previous
So
meeting.
moved, Diatley.
Moved by Diatley, seconded
Second.
Thomas,
by Thomas.
yes.
Comments, questions, discussion? Yes,
What is the final number for the publication?
we don't have, I think it's about 1,600 because it's separate in printing, separate in postage. The printing has come forward. We have to get them posted and then they'll be in the mail. So what we have here was the estimate. It will come in under that and then we'll approve the invoice when it comes through as the warrants.
Okay.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schatzberger,
Aye.
trustee Thomas,
Aye.
trustee Hoff.
Aye.
Trustee Cannelli,
Aye.
trustee McGuire,
Aye.
trustee Diatley.
Aye.
Motion passes. Or all affirmative, no negative, motion passes. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot for that first vote. And we're moving on to new business. This one was brought before us from Public Works Director Killinger, request for purchase of U-channel signposts. I'm just trying to think of where that letter was. Sorry, 1 second. Discussion. Where did it come from? Was that Village Clerk? All right. I'm sorry, we are going to pass on this one at the moment. I do not have the paper. I don't have the paper. Are you familiar with it?
These are for the channel signs which replace it's an annual change, taking out the brown reflector signs
That's the one we're doing.
and
Thank you.
replacing it with the steel channel signs. And the money's is in the budget. I
That's the one we're doing.
don't have the email with me. It's in my car in my phone, but I think it's between $600 and $800, and it's an annual purchase that we make every year.
With a purchase like this, does this really need to be on the agenda with the $400 mulch? I mean.
Well, the 400
that's
is gonna serve a purpose in just
What
a
he
second.
does.
This one was, I think this one was Kyle sent it to us and he wasn't sure if it needed to be on the agenda, so we put it on the agenda. It was for the amount of. I just had it. Bill, repeat what the amount you thought it was.
It was between $600 and $800.
Okay, and this was just out of the regular fund. We didn't need to vote for this.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't-
I'm sorry about that, guys. We're gonna pass that one. I will, yeah. Sorry, guys. As for new business item B, this was brought to my attention. Somebody requested that we put mulch around the 20 trees down by the pavilion in the playground vicinity. I do realize within those spending limits of $400, we do not need this to be a board vote.
Right.
That being said, it seemed that there were different opinions, and as this is a new board, we have some new members. And there's questions about how we spend our money. I thought this would be a good brief exercise really quickly of you guys just discussing the idea of putting down mulch around because the idea is we can put down mulch. It would certainly clean things up. We have a lot more residents coming to the village. We have the market in the hollow. We have the concert in the park coming up. We have the 4th of July. Some people prefer the look of mulch. I'm neither here nor there on it. And my understanding is then that we'd have to reapply it every year, so it'd be a so instead of it just being a one-time $400, I do think it's relevant for us to consider $400 on an annual basis. And also, 400 isn't that big of a deal, but when we combine it with $1,600 for printing for newsletters, then that's $2,000 every summer month. That $2,000, that starts to add up when we're talking about police cameras and things. So I thought it was a good opportunity just to discuss it, see what you guys thought. If anybody had strong feelings about mulch or not.
I really don't care if you mulch the trees or not. Question I have is who picks the 20 trees? I mean, are there?
I counted them.
Is it by size? Is it by what?
It's
What do they
literally
do?
the
I
ones-
mean,
It's literally
it seems a little far-fetched to me right
the
now.
ones that are right by the pavilion and right by the playground that kind of immediately border that vicinity, not the ones that are off on the tree park or anything. It's just
Okay,
the ones up by the seating arrangements. I mean,
okay.
yeah.
It's usually more mature trees people don't mulch around. So
Yeah.
that's why I was wondering.
Well, it's the face of Sleepy Hollow for one of our biggest times of the year. We've gotten our entrance signs cleaned up, we're cleaning up the public spaces. And with 3 big events coming this way, I felt,
I don't have a problem
You
with
know,
it. I
it's
just,
just
to me, I don't think,
compare us to any other
Yeah.
village.
to me, I just don't think it should be an
And
agenda.
we fall
I really don't. That's my opinion.
And
And
And I
that's well
don't think
within
it's gonna
public
be-
works to do that.
it's gonna be 6 yards of mulch at $32 a yard, it's $192.
Eugene will figure it out later.
And I do have somebody willing to donate to the
Oh, I'm
public.
fine with it. I have no problem with it. I just.
They haven't told me a number.
Okay.
Aw.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
She kissed her dad goodnight.
My dad's saying goodnight.
Trustee Cannelli, McGuire, any comments, thoughts?
I'm not big on mulch one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's not a.
All right.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to spend under $400 to mulch the trees close to the pavilion and the playground vicinity of Sabatino Park?
I'll make a motion. Yes, we should.
Do I have a second?
Second,
By Thomas. Comments, questions, discussion?
Well,
I'm sorry, moved by Hoff, seconded by Thomas.
so it sounds, I don't know if we know, but there's an
We already
option,
discussed.
and the option is
Cannot
free.
do it.
Yeah.
What?
Wood chips, we do have wood chips with Public Works.
Well, whole different story with that, guys. You don't know what's been in those chewed up things. You could have diseased trees that could be bringing disease to the tree that we're trying to protect.
Okay,
So I'm against that.
and
And
it hadn't been
you
brought
get
up.
near it, and if you've ever used a string trimmer around that, it shoots all over your face, gets in your eyes, it creates a nuisance for the public.
Okay.
You're gonna vote on it?
Yeah. All right, roll call vote. I'm sorry, end of discussion. Roll call vote.
Trustee Connelly,
Aye.
trustee Hoff,
Aye.
trustee Diatley,
Aye.
trustee Schatzberger,
Nay.
trustee Thomas,
aye.
trustee McGuire.
I'm gonna abstain. I don't know.
Okay.
So that's 3 affirmative, 2 negative, 1 abstention. The abstention goes with the majority. Was I?
One negative.
Oh, is it? Oh, Rhonda.
There's
Thomas, what-
four yes.
Thomas was yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So 4 yes, 1 negative, 1 abstain. The abstain goes with the affirmatives, so that motion passes. Thank you. We'll let Kyle know to go and mulch the trees.
I got one more thing to add if I can, speaking of disease. With with the demolition of the mall. The amount of, okay, first off, we got the Canadian fires, like I can't even breathe anyway. And then, and you know, everybody else, you know, the same, you know, bronchial issues. The mall's not helping, and if you look at the cars, your windows on your house, it is filthy. The streets are dirty, everything's dirty. Can we get some answers from that? Like, it's not healthy for the area, especially without rain.
Yeah, I know that right now it's HR Green is I think it's HR Green is the engineering company. Because they need to do environmental cleanup. I don't want to say names of what's in there. I don't know. I don't want to, but yeah, I know that they have to take special precautions with it.
It's flying through the air.
It is. Unfortunately, this is one of those times where I know we have to, I've experienced this out in Montana with forest fires. When you do have pollutants in the air that you just have to deal with. Unfortunately, these are the times you need to close up your windows because a lot of the systems will have filtration systems on it to help you. So you're not taking in the particulates. But I think that's the only, I will reach out to Mayor Nelson and find out if we can get some more information on it,
More
but
information and what is actually in our air, like, I don't think it's probably that old for asbestos or anything like that, but probably not the greatest product from the early 70s.
we'll get an update from West End about that.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, folks, any other new business this evening?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, the second? Second by Diatley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
8:38. Oh, I'm gonna miss it.
Okay.